So my purpose has been about helping people to change their lives through learning and to help them build lasting legacies for them and their families. And, I had those moments where I've tried to experiment and say, oh, well, let me do this thing or that thing, because it seems like it's the right thing to do, but my heart's not in it. And I don't feel like it's the thing that God has chosen for me to do with my life. So I always end up back in this place of I'm supposed to be helping people to change their lives. And, he's given me the power to be able to help people. And so that's exactly what I'm trying to do.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of the Beauty in You podcast. I am so excited for our guest today. And our topic, we're going to talk about defeating the odds and just really exploring that rediscovery journey. Our guest today is the founder of You Amplified. She has over a decade of experience as a executive leader. She focuses on achieving cost-effective and scalability. And she helps job seekers redefine their personal brand to stand out and land the job that they know they deserve. Welcome to the Beauty in You podcast, Tia Williams. How are you?
Doing really well. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I am so excited to have you. Your journey is incredible. Your story is remarkable. And I know our listeners are going to enjoy just hearing from you. So take me on a little stroll of your rediscovery journey.
Sure. So what's interesting about my story is that when I started and getting into the career of training, right, of teaching people of how to do IT, right? So I got started in that because I had a dream. So I was supposed to actually relocate to another state. And 2 days before that was supposed to happen, I had a dream that I was supposed to contact this company about a job. So I actually got up, I contacted them that day, and they hired me essentially the next day. And that is essentially what launched my career to, put me in the position of being an executive.
Wow. Talk about following your dreams.
Yeah, I mean, and that came really after, I've been laid off 3 times in my career. So that role came basically after the first layoff. And, it really hurts you, right? When you lose your job, you feel defeated. You feel like you just can't, you wonder what's wrong with yourself, right? You like, what's wrong with me? What have I done? What did I do wrong? And what I've learned, especially after having been an executive, is that it's really not about you, right? It's not about me as an individual. The company's looking out for itself, right? And it's looking out for itself in a way to say that, if it's going to come down to the company, versus you're the one who's going to lose that battle, right?
Yeah.
So essentially what I've done is, I got into training and I eventually started doing online training. So I helped, tens of thousands of people get certified for IT, for cloud. And that journey was one that was it's like it's like a blur, it's like a dream, right? Because so much of it happened so quickly that I went from the entry level role to being an executive in a matter of like 3 to 4 years.
That is amazing. Well, I do want to talk about mindset for a little bit because that's quick. That is quick. That is let's do it. Boom, I'm an executive. What type of mindset would you say that you've had, or what helped play a role in you being able to do that? Because we deal with, let's say we overall, deal with a lot of negative self-talk, know what you're worth, you can do it, you have the drive to succeed. Then this little big voice comes in and it's like, no, you can't do that. You're not supposed to do that. That's not what we carved for you, your past is this, you're supposed to be doing that. What would you say led you to just keep pushing through that drive and determination? What was it?
You have to silence that inner critic. It's the only person who can really hold you back is you, right? So our mind is what limits us. If our mind says this is as far as you can go, then that's as far as you can go. I like to think about it in terms of when you have a personal trainer, the trainer says, hey, go low, and you go down. And then he says, now go lower, and you go lower, right? So your mind is the limiting factor there. And, trying to overcome that is the thing that will actually help you to achieve your goals, right? You don't let your mind limit you. You have to understand that there really are no limits. And that's a bit of the mindset that I have. And honestly, I wasn't trying to be an executive. I basically was just trying to be the best version of me.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and doing that, I was recognized as a high performer, and quickly moved through the ranks into management. And then we had the company get acquired by another company. And when the acquisition happened, I was promoted essentially. And a year later, it was acquired again, and I was promoted again. So that's essentially what led to me end up being an executive. So I, have teams of about 100 people reporting under me, and I led the largest cloud catalog of courses online. So, we're talking, we had a catalog of about 5,000 courses, and we're basically seen as the best in the industry.
Yeah, you are the best. You are the best. One thing is, that mindset. I want to talk about it again because you're right. We can go as far as we tell ourselves that we're able to go. And when I think about my own journey and my own healing journey and self-discovery journey, my mindset was the one thing that was holding me back. And it's also the same thing that has me where I am today, because I had to learn how to change my thoughts. I had to learn how to change my thought pattern. And I had to really understand my worth. I mean, that was the hardest thing. It's just like understanding, like, yes, crappy stuff happens. It's called life. Life can be kind of crappy sometimes, but I have the ability to get through it. I have the ability to write my narrative. I have the ability to make the changes. And it was such a hard thing to do, but it got me here. Like, I know I'm better than this. I know I'm worthy of more. I know I can push through this. I'm tired. I don't feel like doing this, but that little voice is like, yes, you can. Okay, I have to do this. I have to be an example. I have to be an example.
Yeah, so I'll take a step back and where I started in life, right? My mother had me 30 days before her 16th birthday. So they had me when they were in high school. So I was raised by my mom. My mom always worked 3 jobs, and I always had to watch my brothers and all of that growing up. So the thing I just want to say that, where you start in life does not define who you are or where you end up at all. So when I hear people say, oh, well, I didn't have luck with this or that, it's not about luck, right? It's about you putting in the work and being consistent on yourself, on helping yourself grow. And I didn't always feel that way. I didn't always think that way. My husband and I got married. I got married a week before my 19th birthday. So we met in high school, and we're still married. 34 years now.
Congratulations.
Yeah, my husband and my mother are the 2 people who taught me, who they helped shape me. My mother gave me the work ethic. She was always working, so she taught me to work hard, but my husband taught me to work smart. And, he's empowered me through our entire relationship. And even when I didn't believe in myself, he believed in me. And, I owe a lot to him, for a lot of the credit for even me getting into IT. I was at home with my kids basically, and he essentially came home with some books and was like, "You're going to study these books and you're going to get a job in IT." And I was like, "Well, you went to school for this, right?" Like it was all very much for me. I was overwhelmed. I was like, I can't do that. And he pretty much was like, "Yes, you can. And you are." He said, "Because I want to make sure that if something ever happens to me, that you're able to take care of yourself and you're able to take care of our children." So that is what gave me the fuel to go on that journey. And I was successful at it, and that gave me the confidence to be like, wow, it's like I can actually do this, right? So from there, then it became about what I needed to do for myself, what I needed to do, because and it was always about doing it myself. I've been promoted multiple times in just about every company I've ever worked for. And it was always because, and it was never about me trying to grab power, or, it was never about, me just wanting to chase things. I'm very much a person of, I really like to sit back and be humble, right? I mean, I was like, I try to let my work speak for itself. And I'm really about, focusing on me and my family and taking care of us. And all the other stuff just came by me doing my best.
Yes, I understand that humbleness, but listen, you're it. Like I was stalking you on the computer. And I found your IG and I was just looking at, your work, and I'm like, wow, what she's doing is just, it's beautiful and it's inspiring. And you look like me, you know what I mean? Like, it's so cool to have women that look like us, And so when I look at what you're doing, I'm like, it just gives me more power and inspiration to keep following my dreams. So thank you for everything that you do. I had a boss, actually my last boss, tell me, she wanted to do, I was transitioning to a new assignment. And she was like, "What do you want to do? What do you want to do for your going away?" And I'm like, "Nothing really. I'm good. Like, I like to come to work, same thing, work really hard, do what I have to do. Work speaks for itself. I'm done here. Bye." That's me. Okay. I get the job done and I'm good with that. But she's like, "Okay, well, I'm going to ask you again in a week." And I'm like, didn't I just tell this lady no, that I don't want to do anything? That was my thought process. And she said, "Let me tell you something." She said, "There's a lot of young women that look like you that are looking up to you." Absolutely. She said, "I've watched you interact with them. I've watched you talk to them. I watched the way you walk and how you do certain things. When we have something for you, it's not about you. It's about those that are watching you. You're setting an example." And when I tell you, I was like, "Ooh, yes, ma'am, I want to have something."
I know exactly what you mean, because as an instructor, I used to get messages from people all the time. And I would get messages from women and men, African American women and men, saying that how much it meant to them to see someone like them, in a position of authority, right? And I've had women send me, notes and tears, right, talking about what it meant to them. And from my perspective, I'm like, me, just like little old me. I mean, you feel like there's nothing special about you, but what we all don't realize is that we don't ever know who's watching, and we don't know what we do means to them.
Yeah. And that's a lesson I continuously learn. And I think even today I had someone say something to me and I was like, "Really? Me?" Because, and I think, and I try to reflect on that, and I'm gonna have to do a little bit more reflecting on it. I'm gonna have to write about it. But I'm like, why is it always like a really me? But I think it's a little bit of that is because I'm always shooting for the next thing. I'm always pushing for the next thing. So in my eyes, I'm not there yet. And then I'm like, well, maybe the flip of that is like, wow, I want to be where she is.
Right.
And so I'm learning that lesson like right now in this era of my rediscovery.
Yeah, I mean, it's really true. Like the people who are one or two steps behind you, right? They're looking at you like that's who I want to be. I want to be where she is,
Mm,
and they're looking at how you're climbing the mountain, and it's giving them inspiration, and it's also giving them a guidebook, a roadmap
yeah.
for how to get there themselves.
Yeah, I'm all about this roadmap. I'm like, I want to be the one to like figure it out so that you guys can just come, like everyone else can just come because I remember in the beginning so my story starts from, I always say a place of hurt because life is just be life in. And so the start of the Chiquita Mack came from a place of hurt, came from a place of depression and anxiety and rediscovery and therapy, like big shout out to therapy. But that's where my journey came from. And it was so hard getting started and figuring out which way to go and then finding a place in this space. And then even having women that did look like us, like, hey, how did you get started or how'd you do that? They're like, I'm not helping you. I'm not
Yeah,
helping you. I've always wanted to be in a position to where I didn't want anyone to feel like that because it's hard. Like everything that we're doing, it is hard. It's very difficult, but we work really, really hard and we keep going. And so I always want to make it like, I paved the way. Come on.
yeah, absolutely. And that's leads me to where I am, right? Like it's ever since I got into training, it's my purpose has been essentially to help others, right?
Mhm,
Like to look at people who like I don't have a degree. I I wasn't able to go to college, but yet
mhm,
I've been able to achieve a level of success that people don't think is possible
mhm,
for someone without a degree, so I want people who are coming behind to realize you don't have to have a degree to be successful. It's all about, are you putting yourself in the right position? Are you doing the things that it takes to help you? It doesn't mean that you don't learn, right? You
mhm,
have to learn, but you don't have. It doesn't have to be that you went to college, right? It could be that you get certified. It could be all types of things. So my purpose has been about helping people to change their lives through learning
mhm.
and to help them build lasting legacies for them and their families. And that's been my mission for the last 15 years. And it drives everything that I do. And, I had those moments where I've tried to experiment and say, oh, well, let me do this thing or that thing, because it seems like it's the right thing to do, but my
Mhm.
heart's not in it. Right.
Yeah.
And and I don't feel like it's the thing that God has chosen me to do with my life. So I always end up back in this place of I'm supposed to be helping people to change their lives,
Mhm.
and he's given me the power to be able to help people, and so that's exactly what I'm trying to do.
Yes. And the fact that you're listening and I tried that, it didn't work. I'm back here. Like there's so many times where I say I get off focus, but it's like, can I really do that? Does that work? Is that quicker? Sometimes. Is that
Yeah.
quicker?
Hmm.
Ooh, if I do this, it'll be quick. And it doesn't work out. And yes, I'm back here where
Right.
where I'm at doing the one thing I do believe I should be doing. Um, for a while, I was ashamed of my past and ashamed of my story and ashamed of what I went through. But now I know that I went through all of that because this is exactly where I'm supposed to be doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And I have to follow my heart and I have to listen to that little voice that's telling me to just keep going. And that gut, that fear, like when I feel that it's weird little feeling, I know when it's there, but that little feeling of fear when it's in my gut a certain way, I'm like, ooh, okay, I have to push through it because
Yeah.
it's coming. It's coming. I just have to keep going. So, yes, listening to yourself and following through with, just keep going, keep pushing, keep following, keep listening, keep doing the things because he's always on time. Now, you may be trying to rush him, y'all out there. You may be trying to rush him, but it's not your time yet. He is always on
Absolutely.
time.
Absolutely. And I've been there, right? Like, so I was laid off for the third time,
Mhm,
back in January, and I immediately started trying to do things, right?
mhm,
Like, so I started trying to do things, and and really what it came down to is the first thing that came to me is the thing that I'm doing now, but it wasn't the first thing that I did, right? So I went down this path of, well, it can't be that that's what I'm supposed to do, or so let me go try to push and do all these other things, and then I end up right back in the place where I started, because this is my path, this is what my journey is supposed to be. And like you said, all the things that have happened, in my life lead me or have led me to this point, right? And the good, the bad, the ugly, I can't change it. I wouldn't change it because it would change who I am. And I like who I am, I'm who God wanted me to be, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's very much about, we have to understand that we all have that voice in us, and we can't let anybody or anything silence that voice, right? And there, you have to overcome the fear, you have to overcome the anxiety, to push through. And in my life, there's always a low point before the high, so just like between my last layoff, I had a layoff, and it led me into training, and it led me into the role that I'm in now. And then this time I was laid off, and now it's led me again to the place where I am now, and I'm back in a position of helping people again. So I go on these journeys, and God's just like, you know what? That's not what I wanted you to do. So you're going to have to deal with this first, right? So you have to deal with the low in order to get to the high place.
Yeah. Oh my Lord, you are speaking, because I'm like, it's always so extreme. I'm like, why is it so extreme? But then after doing my reflecting, I'm like, because if it wasn't that extreme, I would not be doing what I'm supposed to be doing. It had to be that extreme for me to be like, all right, Quita, what's going on? Because you tripping. Like you're doing,
Yeah.
you're not
And
doing
when I
the
talk about the
thing.
journey, I'm talking about the journey, because in addition, while all of that was happening, I haven't even told you about, I was sick, I was very sick through part of that journey. And my daughter had amnesia for a while, through that journey. So it's not just about me and my career, right? Like all of these other life things were happening at the same time. Life doesn't stop. So I had to figure out how to deal with those things, and to deal with all of the things in my personal journey at the same time. You can't imagine having your child not remember who you are. That was a very, very tough time for us. And me being sick, they ended up finding essentially a little mass between my esophagus and my stomach, that basically I couldn't keep food down. It would all come up. And so I was really ill for a long time. I slept in a recliner for 2 years because I was just that sick. I couldn't lay flat. So all of these other things, the good that was happening at the same time that all those bad things were happening with my health and with my daughter's health. And I was able to still push through that, and be there for my family, because there's nothing more important than, them taking care of my family. But it's hard to get up out the bed when you know that you don't feel well, so I just felt though like I was driven, like I had to do it. And what I've come to find out is even those things in my life, God put those things in my life so that I could help someone who came behind me who had similar experiences. So I know someone who has been super sick, right? And I've been able to talk to them about my story, about what happened with me when I was sick, to give them encouragement and to help them see that they can make it through it. It's amazing how I've been positioned, the things that I've gone through, and you think, why me? Why is this happening to me? What did I do? And it's really, I feel like I went through those things so that I could help these other people. And you'd be like, well, like, dang, couldn't you just tell me, God? Like, isn't there another way I could have learned that lesson? Why
Right.
did I have to go through it like that? Right. But again, in the end, I feel like it all has come together and made me stronger and made me the person that I am.
Mm-hmm.
And it's empowered me to be able to help other people.
Yep. We didn't go through our experiences for ourselves. I mean, we did, but we still went through them to help somebody else. And I am a strong believer of that too. Like, I have to, like I said in the beginning, being ashamed. Like, it's like, girl, no, you ain't got time to be ashamed. You need to share what you've gone through. And I call it, like being human, like showing the human side of us, because I do feel like as women, and especially African American women, we ain't allowed to be a human sometimes. We're supposed to just like go through and take it and live it. And it's like, oh girl, you'll be all right. Y'all strong. Like, no, I'm tired. Like what? So I try to show the human side of it. Like life, like I said, life be life and sometimes. But I'm human, I hurt just like everybody else hurts. Situations are not always the best. We go through ups and downs. Everybody goes through ups and downs. Everyone's going through something. And so it's important to just show that we're human. We're all human and we're all going through something. Be careful how you treat people, y'all. Be careful how you talk to somebody else. You never know what they're going through. Try to smile and at least, hi, how are you doing? Something, because just like you may be going through, they may be going through too. And your smile or how you doing might be the one thing that they needed to kind of lift their day. So I always try to keep that in my mind as well, because I'm like, you just never know what others are going through. And I know this Lifetime movie I went through wasn't for nothing.
Yeah, someone once said to me, not everybody has somebody to show them, that they're appreciated and that they're loved. So that's has stuck with me, right, through everything that I do after hearing that. So when I engage people online, when I help people, when I do those things, I always think of that in the back of my mind. As a leader, one of the reasons that my teams, why we got along so well, is because I kept that at the forefront of my mind. I said thank you. I said please. I said I appreciate you. It's very much about, sure it's your job to do something, but that doesn't mean that people can't be grateful for the things that you do and the way that you do them, and just have respect for people. So it's, to me, in everything I do, that's the way that I try to look at life now. It's like, not everybody has somebody, and you don't know what your words mean to them.
Mm-hmm. Especially as leaders, like that's one thing I try to ensure, that my people are always taken care of. Like they're always taken care of. And in turn to that, I'm always taken care of. Like if I take care of them, they take care of me without me having to really ask them. It's like, hey man, we did this, this, and this. I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta do that. Okay, well, shoot. Well, okay, And so I always try to remember as a leader that, my people, they do come first. They come first and their families come first. I make it a point to like learn about each one of them. How many kids do they have? Are they married? Are they not married? Are they single? Are they divorced? What's their situation? What's going on? Because it's their family is important to me. And I know that if things aren't right with them at home, if ma'am, I'm going through this, this, and this, I'm like, okay, how much leave you got? You gonna take some days off to take care of that? Because if you got that going on at home, you ain't no good to me here. You might as well take off and go do what you got to do. I'm fine. I can handle it, So I make it a point to learn about them just as much, because in the end, I mean, it's just treating people how they're supposed to be treated. But my leadership style seems to work. So, people first.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I've like I said, I've had teams of as large as 100 people, and I took time to meet with every single person, and other leaders be like, your calendar is full. I'm like, yeah, like, yep. When I start a new role, I was like, the first thing I got to do is I got to meet with everybody. I got to hear from each person directly, because a lot of people feel like they're not heard at work.
Yeah.
right? So I listen and I try to say, hey, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. And I'll think about it and I'll come back to you. And I do come back to them and say, hey, this is what I think. And sometimes they have ideas and they want to do stuff. I might not be able to do that thing, but I'll say, hey, here's why we can't do that.
Mhm.
Right. So people, want to feel like they're included. They want to feel like they're heard. And doing that as a leader, I've had, some of the best teams I've ever had have been people that I've worked with in that way.
Mhm.
And the reason why I say I'm a good leader is because I don't work with those people anymore, but I can call on them and they can call on me and we would be there for each other, right?
Yeah.
So that relationship transcends the job,
Yeah.
right? So, I don't look at it and say, hey, I do these things and this is what makes me a great leader. How those people treat me, now that we don't work together, that's what tells me that
Yeah.
that I'm a great leader.
Yeah. I like that. And that is true. Because like I said, I just transitioned to a new position, and my ladies call me still early in the morning.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I'm like, oh, what's going on? Hold on, what? Don't y'all have so-and-so there? Yes, but listen, they don't understand. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
So it
exactly.
does say a lot about how they treat you after the job, because it could be after and they're like, I ain't gotta deal with her no more. Why am I gonna even bother?
Exactly.
They're
Exactly.
not here, but yes, after. And I always pick up my phone. I'm like, y'all are hilarious. Like they keep me going. And yeah, I miss them a lot. I do, because in a new spot, when you transition, you're like getting to know everyone. It's starting all over pretty much.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
hope to have the same relationships there. But right now, it's just a lot of turnover. Everybody's new, so we're kind of like, like, what are we doing? But yeah, that leadership definitely goes a long way. I want you to talk to me about your company, being the founder of You Amplify. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So essentially what I do is I help professionals to build a personal brand that is authentic.
Mhm.
It's about helping people stand out, people who don't like to be the loudest voice in the room, helping people who are 50 and older who are trying to overcome ageism and implicit bias, so that they can compete for roles based on merit.
Mhm.
And my approach really is about, helping my clients advance their careers, without feeling like, okay, if I'm going to build a personal brand, that means I got to be in the spotlight. That means I got to have a persona. That means all of these things, and it does not have to be that way, right? So I try to help people understand how to do that authentically. And what a lot of people don't realize is that the job market has changed. It's
Mhm.
not the way that it used to be. You can't use those outdated techniques for searching for work. And everybody needs a personal brand. And when you have one, the jobs start coming to you. Recruiters start looking for you. It opens a lot of doors for things that people really don't never even thought were possible. And for me, it's about helping people to shine, by allowing them to stay true to their authentic self.
I like that, because that social media can get you, right? You have people over here pretending to be so and so. You're like, that's not even you. What
Yeah,
you talking
absolutely.
about? No, it has changed a lot, and I love branding. I love I look at people's branding and kind of like, okay, what do they have going on? Ooh, we can update this. We can, it's really important now. It is really important that you have your own personal brand that is authentic and true, like you said, to who you are, because one, your audience or your niche group, whoever you're tailoring, can tell if it's not authentic. I'm going to tell you
Yes,
right now, right? They know
absolutely.
that. But it's always important, I say, in branding, to stay ready to, like, I'm like, do you have headshots? Like, let me see your headshots. Let me see, like, you need to be ready at all times, because these opportunities can come fast. And you have to be able to articulate to who you are and what you do. I think that's such an
Absolutely.
important part of the branding. Like, you can say, I help people. You help people do what? And it shouldn't take you like a whole 5 minutes. Like, you lost me in the first 30 seconds. What do you do?
Yeah, that's one of the things I try to help people do is help them make their elevator pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, a lot of client people that I work with, they're just trying to find a job, and they need a way to stand out in the market.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many people out there right now that are looking for work, and you got to do what you got to do to stand out, so that employers see you like, oh, hey, yeah, that's the person that I need right there. But a lot of people don't understand that, or they're afraid of it, right? They're afraid of it's going to be too much work. It's going to be too hard. And neither of those things are true. And that's what I try to help people understand, have to help them get through that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because like I said, it's needed. And to have someone that's going to be there with you step by step to kind of pull them through the process and show them like, I didn't have this, but here I am. I think it's so important and so needed. It's not hard. I think the hardest part is maybe the fear and the unknown, because it's different. It's a lot different than it was before. So that might be like the hardest thing. It's like, I have to do this now. Yeah, you do. Come on, let's go. We got to get through it.
There's rewards with that too, right? Because you can negotiate. I've seen up to 25% higher salary by having your personal brand established. A lot of companies are looking for people. They want people who already have brands, right? They want to tap into the audience that you already have. So employers are jumping through a little more hoops for people, who actually have their own brands. And there's nothing wrong with getting a little extra money in your pocket where you can.
Nope. Get that money. It's so important. I am so thankful that you have been a part of my podcast today. And like I said, I'm gonna keep stalking you. I mean, just because we get off of this doesn't mean that I don't stop following you, because I love what you're doing. You're such an inspiration. You have found a need and you are filling that need. And I'm so thankful that you're in that space.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
So excited. Can you tell the listeners maybe where they can find you?
Yes. So one of the best places to find me, especially if you're interested in anything career related, is LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm Tia A. Williams 2.
Okay.
So I'm also on Instagram, and my handle on Instagram is I am Tia A. Williams.
Yes, she is. Again, thank you so much for being a part of my journey. Thank you so much for blessing us with your presence today. And I just cannot wait to keep watching you and see where you go.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, you guys. Until next time.